I used the uploaded story as the structure reference, then rewrote it with new names, a new US-based setting, and narration pacing for Speaksay Atom at zero point 0.9 speed. The script below is exactly 9,000 characters, excluding the writing block markers. "Leave me if you know who I am," the woman whispered. Mason Hale stood in a whiteout on Wolf Creek Pass, Colorado, with one hand on the crushed door of a black SUV and one boot sliding toward the cliff. His old Ford idled behind him. His 6-year-old daughter, Ava, was waiting at home in Briar Falls. He should have kept driving. But the woman trapped inside was bleeding, pinned by a twisted seat belt, and staring at him like she already knew the truth. Her name was Claire Weston, beautiful, with long chestnut hair and the polished face of someone used to giving orders. She was also the CEO of Weston Dynamics, the company that closed the Briar Falls engine plant 2 years earlier and cost Mason almost everything. For 3 seconds, Mason did not move. Then he saw Ava asking what he did when someone needed help. Mason pulled the door until the metal screamed open. "Can you move?" Mason asked. Claire swallowed hard. "My ankle. I think it is broken." "Then lean on me. I do not even know you." Mason looked at the ravine below. "Tonight, that is your smallest problem." He cut the seat belt and dragged her into the storm. The SUV shifted behind them, metal groaning as the rear tires dropped toward darkness. Mason wrapped one arm around her waist and fought through the snow. "Do not carry me," she said. "Then stop falling." He got her into the passenger seat and slammed the door. "How far to the hospital?" Claire asked. "Too far." "Then call someone." "No signal." "Then drive faster." "If I drive faster, we die faster." The pass ahead was blocked, the road behind them was disappearing, and Mason knew one chance. An abandoned cabin stood on a side trail above the pass. "You know this road?" she asked. "Enough to know it hates strangers." The cabin appeared under snow-heavy pines. The door was locked. Mason broke the padlock and pushed inside. One dusty room, a cot, a rusted stove, 3 cans of food, no power, no phone, but the roof held. Mason started the stove with old paper and one match. Claire sat on the cot, soaked and shivering. Mason pointed at her wet coat. "Take it off." "Excuse me. You can freeze in a designer coat or you can live under that blanket." When he looked back, Claire Weston looked young, injured, human. He heated 1 can of stew and split it. "I have a board meeting Monday morning," she said. Mason stared at the fire. The blizzard was not invited. Silence moved through the cabin. Claire noticed the little blue mitten in Mason's coat pocket. "You have a child?" she asked. Mason's face softened. "Ava, she is 6. She must be scared tonight." Mason nodded. "She is brave, that scares me more." By morning, the fire was almost dead, and Claire's ankle was swollen purple. Mason pulled on frozen boots. "Where are you going?" Claire asked. "Wood. In that storm, the stove does not run on good intentions." "Mason, you may not come back." He paused at the door. It was the first time she said his name like it mattered. "Then keep the fire alive until I do." He stepped outside. The cold hit like a fist. Snow swallowed his legs. He snapped dead pine branches with numb hands and dragged them back. His fingers stopped hurting, and that frightened him more than the storm. When he stumbled inside, Claire was beside the stove on one foot. "You were gone too long," she said. "I came back." She saw his hands. His fingers were waxy white. She reached for them. Mason pulled away. "Do not." Claire's voice hardened. "Give me your hands." She rubbed warmth into his fingers until pain returned. Mason watched her face. She was scared not for herself, but for him. "I know who you are," Mason said. Claire stopped moving. Mason continued. "Claire Weston, CEO of Weston Dynamics. You closed the Briar Falls plant. I worked there 7 years, line supervisor. 318 people lost their jobs." Claire released his hands. "You knew this whole time, since the SUV. And you still pulled me out." Mason looked at the door, buried halfway by snow. "My daughter is waiting for me to be a man she can trust." If you have listened to the story till now, Soul Stories Untold team, thank you from the heart. Just one request: subscribe to our channel for more dramatic and emotional content in the future from us. Let's start again. Claire sat on the cot as if her injured ankle was not the only thing that had failed beneath her. "That closure was not personal," she said quietly. Mason gave a tired nod. "It never is from your side. The facility was losing money, the board demanded cuts, we had projections and debt pressure. I know the language, Mason said. We got the letter. Claire looked at him. Then tell me what the letter did not say. So Mason told her about homes sold after missed payments, the school music program cut, workers driving 2 hours for lower pay, and Ava losing daycare, friends, and the birthday party he could not afford. He did not shout, he did not curse. That made every word heavier. Claire listened with the blanket around her shoulders and her long hair falling forward like a curtain. When he finished, she whispered, I knew the number of jobs. Mason looked at her. Numbers do not pack boxes in the dark. Her eyes filled, but she did not look away. I should have known the faces. The day stretched into a second night. They rationed beans and peaches. Mason wrapped Claire's ankle with torn cloth. Claire kept the fire alive while he slept in broken pieces near the stove. When the temperature fell again, ice formed inside the window. Claire tried to hide how badly she was shaking, but Mason saw it. Her injured foot was numb. Mason moved closer with the blanket. This is not about comfort, he said. It is about staying alive. She nodded. They sat shoulder to shoulder near the stove, wrapped in the same blanket, two people who had every reason to remain enemies, choosing not to let the other die. No easy forgiveness came, only survival, only breath. Near dawn, the wind changed. For the first time, the cabin stopped shaking. Mason found one bar of signal and called 911 before the phone died. Rescue lights appeared 3 hours later. Paramedics carried Claire first. Before they closed the ambulance doors, she grabbed Mason's sleeve. I will not forget this, Claire said. Mason's eyes were tired. People say big things after storms. I mean it. Then prove it when the weather is clear. Mason returned to Briar Falls with frost-bitten fingers and aching body, and a daughter who ran into his arms so hard he nearly fell. 4 days later, Mason was making grilled cheese when someone knocked on the door. Ava ran to the window. Daddy, there is a pretty lady outside with a boot on her foot. Mason opened it. Claire stood on his porch in jeans, a thick winter jacket, loose chestnut hair, and a medical boot. She looked nervous. You found Briar Falls, Mason said. Claire nodded. I should have found it before the storm. He did not invite her in. She accepted that. I reviewed the closure again. The old plant cannot return exactly as it was, but a smaller advanced components facility can work here. Mason stared at her. Claire kept going. 120 jobs in the first phase, priority interviews for former workers, paid retraining. If the contracts hold, 200 jobs within 3 years. Ava peeked from behind Mason's leg. Mason's voice stayed low. Why are you doing this? Claire answered without blinking. Because it makes business sense, and because business without conscience is just damage with a logo. Claire said, I want you to lead the community hiring office. Not as charity, as a paid director. You know the workers, they trust you, I have to earn that. Mason studied her face. You think this fixes everything? No, Claire said. I think it starts paying a debt I should have seen sooner. Ava tugged Mason's sleeve. Daddy, is she hungry? Ava looked up at Claire. Do you like grilled cheese? Claire's careful face broke into a small smile. I think I do. Mason stood in the doorway. Behind him was the little kitchen he had fought to keep. In front of him stood the woman who had taken so much and come back changed. The storm had not erased the damage or brought back every family. But sometimes redemption does not arrive as a miracle. Sometimes it knocks on a small porch wearing a medical boot, asking for the chance to do one thing right. Mason stepped aside. Claire entered. Ava placed a grilled cheese sandwich on the table and pushed it toward her. Triangle cut tastes better, Ava said. Claire looked at Mason. Mason gave the smallest nod. And for the first time in years, the future of Briar Falls did not feel like something buried under snow. It felt like a road being cleared. One careful step at a time at last.